how do you even think about be close to that? Not, I mean, you can't get to that position. Myself can't. I'm thinking.
Yes, you are feeling it.
But how do you get into that position where you everything that you do at least has some influence that you're thinking that it's associated with the Shaykh?
You're already doing it. It's not as intense, but it is that. These were people with a purpose. They have a purpose. What is their purpose? Freedom? What is purpose? $100,000 a year? What is their purpose? $1 million a year? What is their purpose? Own companies, stocks? What is their purpose? Having kids? Having fame? Instagram famous? What is their purpose? Take over companies? What is their purpose? You understand? I'm listing all the purpose of most people, what they live for today. Muslims included, more Muslims. And what is that purpose? To make this life, to turn this life into a paradise. That is the purpose, right? Isn't it? To make this life good, better, and best. For themselves. For themselves. That is BS also. Because if it's true that you want to do all of that for Islam, there are millions of Muslims suffering. And there are billions of Muslims who don't care. To even raise their hands, to even have that to be burning in their hearts. They don't want to remember all those things. They don't want to know all those things because it's raining on their parade. You understand? Are Muslims taught purpose? Are we taught purpose? Are the Muslims taught how to live this life for a purpose? Yeah, live for Allah, die for Allah. That's not a real sincere purpose because you just say that. Because if you really live and you die for Allah, then you must know what are the things that are opposed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What are the things that are establishing themselves as Shaykh Maulana is saying, the Sultanate of Shaitan. If you're saying that you live for Allah, you die for Allah, then you must live to bring down the Sultanate of Shaitan. Yes or no? This is how the Sahaba Kiram lived. This is how Tabi'in lived, Tabi'in, all the way down to the Ottomans. That's what they lived. They had a purpose. Their purpose is not to shrug their shoulders and say, Allah is in charge, what can I do? And they just play house. They had a purpose. We are not taught that purpose. Or that purpose is saying is not necessary. It's not necessary because you cannot do anything. You cannot change. Okay, you cannot change. Prophet says you cannot change. Then with your hands, then you must change with your tongue. Are they making people to try to change with their tongue? No. All these things, you see, non-Muslims are more interested in the rights of Muslims all over the world. The non-Muslims are more interested. The unbelievers are more interested in defending the rights of the Muslims everywhere in the world, not the Muslims. Because the Muslims, they are tied up together with the political interests of their Muslim rulers. And they say, oh, we cannot say that because it's going to upset this big brother. Oh, we cannot say that because it's going to upset this other big brother. Then billions of dollars we're going to lose, so everyone is going to lose. So don't stand up for haqq. Don't even say. So you cannot say, you cannot change. You don't want to change with your tongue. With a heart, oh. Really? Are people interested in their hearts? The passion is there to bring down the Sultanate of Shaitan? No. What Sultanate of Shaitan? Majority are saying. The world is shining, don't you see? So those ones, like the Hudbah is talking about, Ya Sultan Salim, the Ottoman Padishahs and the Ottoman Sultans and the Ottomans themselves. Not just the Sultans, from the porter to the Padishah. They had a purpose because they were literally walking behind the Holy Prophet ﷺ. You understand? And they are not going to sohbat going on. Quiet little bit. Later you can play. Abdullah, you sit over here. Next to your Baba. Yeah, you replace that white cat. You're white like a cat also. Okay. So there is no purpose. And in today's world of confusion, you think you want to do something, 100 things come to say you cannot do it. One thing that you are thinking to do, 1,000 thoughts coming to you says, don't do it. Do something else. Do more mindless things to put you more in ghaflat, to forget the fact that you are hopeless and helpless and useless. Don't even pray. You want to pray? Only pray for your family. Is the ummah thinking about the ummah? No, because the ummah has been broken up into different countries already. It's no longer an ummah. There's not an ummah. That problem, that's a Pakistani problem. That problem, that's a Bengali problem. That problem is Albanian problem. It's not the problem of the ummah. And you see, they are taking protectors, wellies, from unbelievers. So how to have that? Start from the basic. We are starting from the basic. What is the basic? The founder of the Ottoman Empire and the Ottoman dynasty, Sultan Osman Ghazi, he didn't start with an empire, he started with a village, group of people. They committed to that, one purpose. It seems impossible. It doesn't matter if it's possible or not possible. We want to have that purpose. It doesn't matter whether we can do or we cannot do. We must have that purpose because we're Muslims. Without a purpose, without a niyat, anything that we do, it is useless. Useless. You can do the biggest things, but without a niyat, without an intention, it is useless. You intend the biggest thing, but you cannot do anything. You're worse than that ant that carried the drop of water. Allah will praise you. You're worse than that ant. But you have the intention bigger than that ant, Allah will praise you. This is a matter of belief. Do you believe that? If you believe that, be amongst the believers. And have that purpose. Live by that purpose. Remind yourselves of that purpose every single day. And be around people who will remind you that purpose. Don't spend time with people who are going to make you to forget about that purpose. That's how you can taste a little bit of what they're tasting. And then you can achieve. You can. Even if it's carrying one drop of water, you can achieve. They were focused and they concentrated on that. They were not looking at any other thing, one thing. They were not spread out all over the place, one thing. Anything else that is going to distract them and detract them, they cut it off. Not necessary, because this is, you understand? That is the training of only tarikats can give, real tarikats. Because a person like that, he's either crazy or he's in love. Most times he's both. To be crazy, you have to be in love. To be in love, you have to be crazy. And that is the sign of the believers in the Akhir Zaman, the Holy Prophet ﷺ is saying, remember Allah. He is saying openly, remember Allah. Prophet ﷺ is saying, make zikr and remember Allah, until if someone sees you from the outside, he's going to think that you're crazy. Was he doing that, Ya Sultan Salim Khan, to achieve Jannat? Was he doing that to get the highest station in Jannah? Jannat al-Firdaus? Was he doing all of that to get reward like that? Huh? You see, even their attitude is different. If the Sultan is behaving that way, imagine the Wazirs and the Sadr Azams and everyone. It is not the interest, again, it is not self-interest. In dunya or in akhirat. They were doing that because they had a purpose. Whose purpose is that? Whose purpose? Holy Prophet ﷺ's purpose. If he wants to pay, he pays. He doesn't want to pay, what? Are you going to fight? So to know what is the purpose, or whose purpose? The purpose of Fakhri Kainat. The purpose of Hazrati Mustafa. You understand? His purpose. This is what Khilafat means. You continue the aim, the ambition, the purpose, the ambition and everything of the Prophet. You are representing the Prophet. If Prophet ﷺ was alive right now, what would he do? You understand? This is what it meant. And they were doing that. And people were supporting that. You asked, I said, we are tasting that a little bit. That's why we are a very tiny group. Where I'm looking after that, I'm looking at everyone, so men's and women's. We're a small group. Alhamdulillah, I don't want anything bigger than that. Because as it is, who knows what's going to happen next year? Who's going to fall off? Who's going to betray? Who's going to talk? Who's going to do this and that? We don't know. May Allah make us to be sincere and to stay. But do we care if people are criticizing us? Like what they say in America. What they say in America? Hell no. Right? Do we care? No, we don't care. Do we care if our reputation is high or low? We don't. What do we care about? What our Shaykh thinks of us, what our Prophet thinks of us. You see, the Ottoman Sultans, they were so in love with the Prophet. They were writing love letters to the Prophet. Not to their wives, not to their sons, to the Prophet ﷺ. Personal letters, they would think they would write with drops of tears in their letters and personally putting it in the Rawzah Sharif, sending it to the chamber of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, that when the Wahhabi shaitans, they took over, they found thousands of letters written by the Ottoman Sultans. Thousands of handwritten letters begging the Holy Prophet ﷺ for help, for intercession, for forgiveness, for mercy. And those Wahhabi shaitans saying, you see, this is proof. They make shirk. They were in love with the Holy Prophet ﷺ, but they were not fighting Muslims. They were fighting the unbelievers. Those ones that they were fighting were those ones who say that they are Muslims, but they have deviated. They say, come back. Don't do this. This is wrong. When we talk about Persia, during the time of Shah Ismail, do you understand what Shah Ismail did in that area there? Nobody understands. Nobody knows. Because everybody thinks Persia, oh, must be Shia. Must be. Did you realize all of that area for 800 years? Was it 800 years? I like that, 800. 800 years. No, 600 years, I believe. It was 600 years. Meaning up to the 1400s. 6. Yeah. 800 years. You understand? Almost 1,000 years. 800 years. That was in that area that we call today's Iran. That was the center of the love of the Prophet ﷺ and the love of the Sunnah of his way. That was the center of Ahl Sunnah. Do you understand what Shah Ismail did when he took over that whole area? That he massacred hundreds of thousands of people and he forced the rest to convert, to become hardline, wrong kind of Shia. 800 years, bruh. Everyone talks about Granada. Everyone talks about Spain. Huh? What the reconquistadors they did, what the Spanish they did. But no one talked about what the Shias they did. They destroyed everything. That for 800 years, that was the center. If you look to today's important books, manuscripts, teachings, tariqat and otherwise, all Islamic sciences, it's all coming from that area. That area wasn't Shia then. And then that happened. So, there's a purpose. What is that purpose? If we want to bring it down, let's say, well, we're not Ottomans, we are not this, we are not that. Okay. You know what is a purpose that everyone must have, that is farz for everyone. Farz. There's no choice. It's farz, it's obligation. Anyone who calls himself a Muslim is an obligation. Where is it now? Nowhere. Are people bringing it up? No. Are they teaching it? No. They're making people to take more drugs. Religion became like opium. To take more drugs and to go to sleep. In that way, yes, it is true. And what is that? Where is Amri bil Maruf? And Nahi anil Munkar. Where is that? To forbid what is evil and to encourage, to enjoin what is good. Where is that? Good and evil according to what? According to fashion, according to Facebook, according to Instagram, according to Allah and His Prophet. But once you destroy that system of Khilafat, then everything is broken up and every country has its own version of Islam according to that ideology. Yeah, okay, even with that ideology, say Amri bil Maruf. Where is the Amri bil Maruf? Are the people enjoining what is good? No. If anything, they enjoin what is against the laws of Allah, saying, well, don't judge, brother. Huh? Maybe 10 years ago, we talked about how women who go on Facebook, Instagram and all of this and wearing hijab, of course, they have all this makeup thing and this thing and that, they become really famous, and then they become really famous, the ego starts to attack them, they think they are somebody, very influential, mashallah, influencers, and then they say, I'm deciding I'm going to take off my hijab. Right? This was years ago, not now, but years ago when they do that, and when they do that publicly, majority of the people, they stand up and they say, good. They say, mashallah to you. And some who says you shouldn't do this. I'm not talking about those crazy ones who are saying da. This is, no, put that aside. This is extreme. You understand? That is also wrong. Those ones says you should not be doing this. Majority will jump on those ones and say, don't judge her. You are being terrorists. You are being Wahhabi. You're being this. You're using everything else. Defending. You don't know what's going on between her heart and Allah. That was years ago. And now, every wrong that is against the teachings of Islam, liberal Muslims, which is majority, because nobody wants to be Wahhabi anymore, right? It's unfashionable. It used to be fashionable in the 80s and 90s to be Wahhabi. Everybody wants to be Wahhabi. And now it's very fashionable. Then after that, everybody wants to become Sufi. Now it's not fashionable also, Sufi. Everybody just wants to be liberal. So liberal means live and let live. It's okay. So where is the Amr bil Ma'ruf? What are you enjoining what is good? Nothing. What are you forbidding that is evil? Nothing. So what is farz? You don't have. So if you don't do that, what purpose do you have in life as a Muslim? What is the purpose? That's all. Eating and drinking. Riding nice car, nice house, go vacation. What else? What else is there? Working, get a career. Every weekend go to this house, next weekend go to this house. Doing what? Just gossiping. Or sitting like this, like Pakistani uncle. They sit cross-legged. They have to because it is against Sunnah. And they have to sit like this because it's against Sunnah also. And then they drink their chai and they talk about world politics, trying to change the world, of course. Meanwhile, their wives are the ones, hey, quickly, we have to go home now. And they say, oh, okay, honey, I'll go. Yes or no? Yes. Don't worry, every nation you're doing that too. Pakistanis get very upset with me. Arabs the same, Malaysians the same. Okay, you happy now? Astaghfirullah. Shukr. So there's no purpose. Purpose is what? Go to good school. Get good education. Get a good job. That is the purpose, yes? Everyone has that purpose, no? Get a good job. Then you can think about other things. So we can never come close to understanding that love, because there's no love. The love that is inculcated for us, that is put inside of us when we're young, the love is the love of dunya. Go to good school, get a good education, get a good job. Marry, settle down. Last I check, that is the let's say, aims of unbelievers, not Muslims. When you put Allah first, everything else comes. When you put Prophet first, everything else comes. Alhamdulillah, that from the mess that we were in, sunk into our own ignorance and everything in Jahiliyyah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent one of His most beloved friends to us, our Shaykh, Sahibul Saif, that He pulled us out and made us to understand and to think and to realize certain things. Without them, impossible. We're going to be here, we're going to understand. You can read 1,000,000 books. You'll never come to that because you need the touch of a saint. You need the prayer of a saint. You need the sohbat of a friend of Allah. For this you need. If we didn't have that, it would be worse, no? We were all from that. If the world changes, a new system of a new nizam comes, divine nizam comes, all these young ones, they wouldn't know all our kids right now, they wouldn't know what we went through. And we tell them, look, there was a time that we did this and went here, they laugh. They say, no. That's impossible. How bad is that? They're going to think. But we went through that. And may we die in this way. If we die tomorrow, sure, so many things we cannot finish, sure. If we rely on our worship and our ibadat and everything, we're going to get nowhere. But if we die tomorrow, at least we can say we die walking behind that one who is walking behind the Holy Prophet ﷺ. And that's very good. How much more shukr? How much more shukr we must have. How are you going to make shukr if you don't think? If you don't think, you don't use the intelligence that Allah has given you, how you can make shukr? So you must use that intelligence again. A believer must use that intelligence again. And the Quran Karim is speaking so many times saying, use your intelligence, think. Why don't you think? This is for men of understanding. And everything is there pointing to Allah to say, look, it's there in front of you. People are studying the Quran, but the Quran is saying, study the night and the day. Do you understand? People are looking for answers in the Quran, and the Quran are saying, go to the men of understanding. People are looking for answers in the Quran, and the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, go to the Ahl Zikr. This is what makes this religion great. Because now the secret of that, the secret of the Quran is not in the Mushaf. The dialogue of Allah, the words of Allah is not in that Mushaf. As Allah is saying, His signs are everywhere. And that words came from an unlettered prophet that he put into the hearts of those ones who say, we don't want any other letters except for your letters. You understand? They themselves become ummi. That is the other point of being crazy, you know. I don't want anyone else, only you. That's the whole point of being in love, right? I don't want anything else except you. People say, but this one is not too good. I don't care, I want. This one is not too beautiful. I don't care, I want. Like when Layla was brought into the presence of the king and the sultan. Layla, who made Majnun to become crazy. And the sultan heard about the story and said, bring her to me. Let me look at her. How beautiful she must be, the way that she's being described, that she made this man to become crazy. And Layla stood in front of the sultan, and the sultan said, looking at her, you are Layla? And Layla looked back to the sultan and says, shut up. You are not Majnun. So only a Majnun is going to understand a Layla. If you're not Majnun, if you're not crazy, you're not going to understand that Layla. You're just going to look from the outside. You have to be crazy to be able to understand. Little bit we must have. Then we must look how much more crazy we must be. Every day we must get a little bit more crazy, a little bit more in love. Things that is making us to be cold, to fall out of love, we must fix. We must use our intelligence. Sohbat is important. How much we're going to need this? We need this every day. If anything, just to remind us. The Quran is known as the reminder, no? It is the reminder, correct? The Quran calls itself a reminder. Which means what? We all knew the Quran, but we forgot. And the Quran came to remind us that we know the Quran already. It's not to teach something new. Because you cannot remind yourself of something that you never knew. So we know all this already. What I'm telling you, we all know this. But you need to be reminded because we forget. So how to fight yourself against forgetfulness? This is coming to your question. That you have to fight. You have to understand what makes me to forget. From the things that you eat, that make you ghaflat, to the things that you see, to the people that you are with, to the clothes that you wear, to the ideas that come. You understand? Then it is up to your shan, up to your honor. How much you think you can carry? This is a long way. Don't just carry something heavy and then after 5 minutes say, it's too heavy, you're going to drop. Carry what you can, because we have a long way to go. May Allah make it easy, inshallah. Wa min Allahu tawfiq. Al-Fatiha. Amin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Ya Allah. Any other questions we have? Sallallahu. It's 3:30 already. Any other questions? Yes? You're okay? Alhamdulillah. Yeah? It's a very good question. It's not a good question. It's a good answer. Shaykh is giving us the answer. But it's not even a good answer. It is, if the listener is good, then he comes. Listener is not good, it's not going to be. Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Wilson, have your dessert, inshallah. This much is enough. Wa min Allahu tawfiq. Al-Fatiha.
الأسماء التي دعاك بها سيدنا آدم عليه السلام، وبالأسماء التي دعاك بها سيدنا نوح عليه السلام، وبالأسماء التي دعاك بها سيدنا هود عليه السلام، وبالأسماء التي دعاك بها سيدنا إبراهيم عليه السلام، وبالأسماء التي دعاك بها سيدنا صالح عليه السلام.